Hello and welcome to D&D with High School Students presents the B Team. I have returned once again with Jennie, click over, yes, and Jordan. So, where we left off, you guys, was that you had come across an ambush. And in your investigations and scouting around and searching, you discovered that this ambush was probably conducted by a large group of people on heavy armored mounted horses. So you figured out, you deduced from some clues that this is the holy order that protects the theocracy, like the highest order of knights and paladins. So them ambushing people who were clearly not able to defend themselves is what struck you as being very off. And you started to become more suspicious as you found other clues. So you decided to follow their tracks, which were heading in the same direction as a small village that holds a sanctuary to the goddess Vusek. So you figured you'd try to track them down and maybe even catch up to them. So you're on the road. You guys have traveled for about 3 hours, basically through green, lush, somewhat hilly kind of terrain. Lots of creeks running through here and there, a few, standing like bogs and stuff where it's just wetlands, but pretty peaceful, pretty quiet. And as you're walking along, you're trying to keep a pretty good pace. Every once in a while you kind of jog, see if you can kind of catch up to where they're at. You take a brief stop for lunch. You've been traveling for a few hours now, and you break, you eat some road rations, and then you guys kind of resume. As you're walking down the next hour, you come to more open plains. It's getting flatter, but you're still kind of higher up in the countryside. So you walk down some pretty open plains for a while. Make perception checks. That's a definite no.
15 minutes.
So perception.
Oh yeah, it's right there. Yeah, so that's just 15.
Okay, so 15 is good enough. You see kind of along the path that you're following them on, there comes a point that you come to where it seems like they go and kind of spread out and circle up and the tracks get a little more muddled. You also see a small fire that's basically just embers smoldering. So you kind of get the impression that maybe they stopped here. As you're looking, you notice there's a very big footprint that is way bigger than any of the other footprints. Like, imagine a 2-foot long footprint, and it's a big boot, like a huge, you could see the impressions of the boot. And there's a pair of these here and there. It looks like they kind of circled around, and then it walked off in a different direction than where the cavalry had been going. So you kind of investigated that. You saw that. She is like looking on the other side of the camp.
Yeah, so I want to call Aria over. I want to ask her about this because she's more of a large being. Maybe she'll be familiar with this. So ask Aria over, call her over, see if she wants to figure it out because I don't know yet.
If I look at the footprints, are they like humanoid or are they like something?
They are. They look like a human. Like they look much like the other knights' boot prints. It's a very heavy impression because they're all wearing armor and this is kind of a wetland area. So the boot print's very distinctly a boot, like a humanoid boot. It's just double the size of anything you've ever seen.
Well, it seems to break off from the group. Do we think this is something that we should investigate? Because we haven't seen this before, right? They were all on horses.
You guys have traveled independently and together extensively throughout the region. You've never seen anything this big before.
Well, I think if it heads off in a different direction and the horses keep going towards that small village, do you think that we should keep going to the village? Because I feel like the people there might be in danger.
The people there are really important, but part of me also feels like if this is a brand new creature, this thing might hold like a whole new danger, and it's probably, if it showed signs of just kind of being around them and then splitting up, it could be possible they're working with them. And if these knights have some kind of random power, because it seems giant-like from what I would assume, then that could be even more dangerous than where they're going.
Do either of you have history, proficiency in history?
No.
I'll let you make a roll.
Okay.
Go ahead, make a roll. Add in your modifier.
2. Even worse.
2 and 1. That's so awesome. So it's suiting then that as you talk about this, neither one of you have any recollection of even legends of large-sized humanoids, giants, that kind of stuff. Like, you're like, I've never even heard of this. It's just not something you've ever heard of or seen.
So,
Just to let you know direction-wise, so you guys were heading south back out of like the mountains, right?
Mhm.
So you've been heading south and kind of east. This splits off more hard west, but also kind of south. So true south, like the big footprints go this way. So south and west.
which way should we follow them then? Are we worried about this big thing that seems to be acting alone, or are we worried about this whole horde of people on horseback who are clearly heading towards some kind of town?
Would the southwest still be going towards that town, or just
Away from it. It would be going
away
like
from it?
to the west of it.
I feel like we should keep heading towards the town because I'm worried about those people, and if need be, we can always backtrack after we just make sure that the town is not currently under siege or...
That is true. The town does hold more importance.
So make a religion roll.
Okay.
Th-
20, but
20.
but not natural. 18 plus 2.
All right, so as you guys are talking about whether, debating to go to the town, you have this strange flashback to when you were a child, like in your tribe, amongst your people, there were like elders who used to do like prayers to the elemental gods, but in like the old language, and it was like people didn't speak it anymore. It'd be like somebody like speaking Latin still, or an ancient language. But it was always like, growing up, it was always like prayers. And you have this flashback to your childhood when your grandfather was telling you about how the Goliaths, your people, came from the great Goliath, who was double the size of any Goliath. He was a huge, huge man, and he was the greatest chief and shaman of his tribe. He was both chief and shaman. And he united the Goliath people and like divided them up into the family clans that they're in. And that's all. From your religious past, you remember this like myth about the first Goliath.
Mm-hmm.
So, south or southwest?
I think south. Just go to the town and like check on it, and I don't think we'll stay as long as we were planning to, because I do want to figure out what this is, because if there's multiple people doing things at the same time, we kind of have to make it a little bit faster than I think we were planning on making this investigation.
Yeah, I think if they're also heading southwest, we can, if we go south and we make sure all like the innocents are safe and that there's nothing that we can stop there, then just head west from there and try to see if we can meet up with wherever this tracks might be going.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a plan. Okay.
You begin resuming your way down the road. You travel uneventfully towards the village. And the next few hours go by, and you see maybe a half mile up where the river starts to come into the land, and there's like waterfalls and stuff, and that's where the village is. You could see like farmhouses, little hamlets as you approach. And it's not a big village. There's like 500 people that live there. But you guys get closer, and you see the city, the village seems to be as it would be towards the evening. You know, people like ending their day in the field, going back to their little farms. You get closer to the village, you see, you know, people kind of closing up their shops. And, you know, just a little bit before sunset, you get into the village. And everything seems as normal. Like there's, you know, people milling about. Other people are walking to the tavern for dinner, you know, so.
Can we like pull someone off the road just like briefly?
Sure, there's tons of people around.
Okay, so we'll just...
You find a shopkeeper who's just like closing up one of his little stalls. He's like, I'm just closing up. Can't really help you out, my
Oh,
friend.
no, we're not
Sorry.
looking to buy. We came in, have there been anyone new that has come into town recently? We're following some
you
people.
talking about the cavalry?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Came through around noon today.
Are they still here? Did they stop?
Oh, I believe so. I believe they're at the temple. They went to the shrine straight away. They didn't check in anywhere, so I'm assuming maybe they're over there. There's stables and barracks. That's what I would assume they'd be.
And they haven't talked to anyone else here? Nothing out of the ordinary at all?
No, not that I've seen. I've been here on the main plaza with my cart all day. I rode in one direction, went straight to the shrine, and that's where they've been.
Okay, thank you. And then turn back to you and I'll say, should we head toward the shrine? Or do you think maybe we should keep looking around? Or because they seem to not be too worried with anyone here.
Yeah.
They seem to be more worried with whatever's at that temple.
I still I don't trust these cavalrymen, so I think it would be in our best interest to just investigate what they're doing at the shrine, just a little peek.
So not talk to them at all.
No, because unless we see something that looks suspicious, it might be in our best interest not to confront them overall.
Yeah, so we'll start making our way over to the shrine.
Okay. Couple blocks, because this is not a big village. You see right by where the river goes past the village, and there's another couple 100 yards, and then it goes down the waterfall. You see this small building that's very ornate. It's it's kind of like a white dome with beautiful windows and like granite steps leading up to the temple. And you see adjacent, there's a long, basic wooden building that's, you assume, both of you have seen what barracks look like before. And then beyond that is a stables. So as you guys walk up, the doors are open. You can walk right in. You look inside and you see a bunch of men dressed in normal clothes, not armor. A couple of them have swords or daggers, but like they're basically dressed in like civilian clothes. And you see them kind of milling about, socializing. And they're having drinks and stuff, and they're talking. It's not rowdy. It's like kind of more polite gentleman type stuff. You see a few what you assume to be like caretakers of the shrine. Mm-hmm. They're wearing like common priest robes, like one's in gold, another one's in white. They're kind of walking around and stuff, talking. And that's where we're going to end this very, very short chapter of B Team with Jennie and Jordan. But don't worry, we'll be back to find out what's really going on in the shrine.